Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Welcome again to Gay Buddhist Fellowship. This is our practice now. We'll go around and say our names, and in the spirit of our Dharma today, the question to go with your name is, what energizes you? A few minutes to think about that. So I'll start. I'm Dean. Qigong.
Rich, friendship.
Justin, travel.
Robert, food.
Douglas, yoga.
George, meditation.
Baruch, meditation.
Todd, jogging.
Jay, learning.
Tim, technology.
Shona, running.
Ari, my dog.
Randy, sunshine.
Josh, talking.
Jimmy, working out.
Peter, yoga.
Joe, meeting new people.
Mark, family.
David, meditation.
Andre, riding my bicycle.
Harley, swimming. Leading nature.
Mark, yoga.
Michael, singing.
Gary, music.
Ron, coffee.
Ash, riding my bike.
Jaime, the wind.
Adam, music.
Roy, hiking.
David, passion.
Dave, a new experience.
Peter, theater.
Scott, trail running and meditation.
Harv, my practice. Steve, walking.
Jerry, being in nature.
Jim, all of the above. Jack, writing.
Larry, bicycle.
Is anybody here for the first or the second time? My good friend Shauna. Who else? Put your hands up, please, and if you can just say your name so we can make sure to welcome you afterwards.
Lee.
Jaime.
Mahesh.
Great. Well, our chair of the Dharma today is Siegal, who is a certified life coach and a body energy therapist, as well as a Tibetan Buddhist practitioner. And she assists people in moving out of stuckness into presence, energy, and aliveness. She's going to lead us in an exploration of energizing ways to get real and passionate about what you're doing and who you're becoming. And the question is, if today were the last day of your life, what would you celebrate?
That seems like a good place to start. So, yeah, I wanted to throw that out for any interested person here. If this were the last day of your life, what would you be celebrating? Yeah.
It's easy. All the love that I have in my family and my friends.
Yeah. Seem really certain about that.
Oh,
yeah. That's great.
Grateful for that.
Yeah. Good. Last day of your lives. Anyone. Gratitude for anything. Yeah.
I just echo what Scott said. I was really sick, and my friends really came through for me, and I'm just so grateful. I was so moved. So I would just feel that gratitude.
Yeah. Okay. So just kind of feel I'm sure you can, the realness of what's been said here. on the last day of your life, you've got nothing to lose by being exactly who you are. And it seems as if we spend a lot of time, trying not to be who we are, trying to exceed who we are, trying to, do anything but be who we are. Until some point comes in our life in which we really get it, that this is it, this is who we are, and we can feel that sense of this is what brings our friends, our family, loving kindness to us, is when we are who we are. And I was thinking about this actually a lot because recently a dear friend and Dharma sister of mine died, and it was really interesting to be around Blossom before she died. Many times we'd get together and we would talk about our practice, among other things, and we would always say, we don't put enough time into this, we want to, this is something that's very important to us and grounds us and all of that. Why aren't we doing more? And we would enumerate all the different ways in which our lives were taken up and cut up into many pieces and many needs and many people. And, it's kind of interesting thing when Blossom was dying, it became clear in the sense that though there had not been as much there, as much practice as she wanted to give, she did want to go to her belly dancing class. She did want to do her feng shui classes. She was intent on her work. There were people in her life needing her, wanting her, and she couldn't sit around practicing meditation all the time. But there was this feeling here of there was something about our practice. There was something about the devotion to the Lama in the largest sense of creating a space for ourselves to be, who we are. And you couldn't get away from it, Even the amount of practice that we were able to do that, is never enough, called us into this space of, but this is who we are. We're not the great this or the great that. We are who we are. And there's some purpose to that. There's some meaning because we can feel our connection to what we are in this time of practice. We can feel it when we're connected with people who come at this heart place and join us there. And so that is one thing I've been thinking about. Another thing is, sometimes some of the work that I do with people ends up on this note of, is that real for you? How real is this for you now? When you can feel your energy running through you, when you say, this that I am doing is not me and I need something to shift or change, then there's this feeling here of we're getting there. We're getting towards what's real. And at this time, it seems like the most important thing in the world. Really nothing more important than that. And so this quality of, feeling the love from the people in your life, the love that you have created a space for to come to you, to meet you there, and you to reach out and meet back the people who love you, the love that's coming in. This has such a feeling of completeness, of reality, of this is what you're here for, that, this kind of says, what else is there, So, right now, I was just wondering if we might just consider for a moment this thing of, what are we doing here? What are you putting your time into? What's really going for you? What's really important? And maybe also, what is it that you're not actually living out that would help you feel more real? So, at this moment here in time, I'd like to just put out a question to you of, in what way are you not being all that you want to be? And to look at it that way for just one moment. If you could take one step further in some direction, where would it be? Let's go with that one. Anybody? If you could take one step further in one direction, some direction, what would it be? Yeah.
I wish I would be less hype, calm down, and take more time to enjoy the simple things. I think the way that I act on a daily basis is like I'm rushing against time and trying to do as much as possible, and it's not really all of it.
It's not really what?
About rushing all the time, coming down.
Okay.
Coming down.
Okay. So why is it that you're rushing?
I don't know. I'm too hype.
And so where are you going?
I don't know. I have this feeling of trying to accomplish as much as possible in less time.
Yes. So if you were to stand up for a moment, I'll just join you. You're standing up for a moment. Could you show me maybe how it looks to rush as fast as you can in the little time that you've got? Okay? Okay, so you've got about 10 seconds to rush as fast as you can. Okay?
But I'm here to calm down.
This is great. So what's calling you right now to calm down? As you stand here, not rushing.
Not break down the things that I have to do so much as I do. Like I always make time for everything and try to. I want you to take it more naturally, and slowly, and enjoy it.
Okay, so what are you taking time for now? As you slow down and not
I'm
rush?
thinking about the way that I behave on a daily basis.
So who are you taking time for now?
I'm trying to picture myself.
Taking time for yourself. So what's that about? As you just take time for yourself, you said your breathing was slowing down. You can just feel your feet on the ground. You're not running fast. Yeah, what's it like to inhabit this space of your own?
I feel more peaceful.
Well, what does that feel like in your body, to feel more peaceful?
More relaxing.
So just kind of feel that sort of slowed down quality. Is it okay that you're not accomplishing all these other things right now? Why?
Because it's feel more in the moment, in the present. It's not like I have to rush.
Yeah. And as you're not having to rush, what is that like for you?
I feel calmer.
Yeah. And so as you're calmer, just kind of notice the space that you have, the time that you have. Notice how you feel about yourself. Notice how you feel about being here with everyone else from this space. What's it like to be with yourself like this right now?
I'm enjoying it.
You're enjoying it. Yeah. What about being with all the rest of us right now? What has anything changed for you?
I feel a sense of belonging, being part of.
Yeah, being part of it. Right. There's something about slowing down, about dropping down that, really just kind of opens the space around us, our heart space too. It's easier to be with others. It's easier to be with ourselves. And it's easier to feel what's really important right now. Thank you so much. Yeah, great. So I'm so glad that you stood up there because you actually were very brave and took the initiative to do something that I couldn't do for myself. About the last 10 days, last 2 weeks, and maybe easing up in the last couple of days, I was in this terrible state of doing exactly what you were saying, of rushing madly, sort of like the red queen rushing madly in place and getting nowhere. And, feeling like all these things had to be done. And in the process, I was feeling increasingly tense, sick, desperate, isolated. Whatever goals I thought I was having by doing this, I wasn't meeting them. I just couldn't reach them. I couldn't feel them. Even if I had accomplished something in that state, I would not been able to appreciate it. My heart wasn't open. I was, I was actually in the midst of something of an identity crisis of, what am I doing with this life coaching? And, why aren't I like these other people who are life coaches, who are these models and stuff? And I was so far out of myself. I was just so far out of who I know that I am, most times, that it was simply impossible to do anything. It was simply impossible to feel that I could, be real with myself. And so it was really interesting to feel that suddenly I was creating goals and things that were simply impossible for the kind of person I am. And so I just sort of wonder if anybody's had that experience of, besides you, of rushing in place. Yeah. Of doing and doing and doing beyond who you are. Anyone speak to that? I see hear a sure somewhere. Yeah. Let's see. Well, you start first.
Well, I just had the experience of flying home to handle a major family transition where there were so many things on a list and so many things to do and so many people upset. It was this feeling of like, oh my God, it's like just kind of like being on a treadmill there, and every time you accomplish one thing, two other things get added, and everybody's upset, and it doesn't even matter what you do, you can't ever seem to get the list shorter.
Yes.
And nobody's appreciative, and everybody's upset, and just being in that awful space that you described of, and I saying, okay, I'm aware I'm in this bad space. I gotta get back. I gotta not project into the future. I gotta be more present. I gotta breathe. I was kind of mindful of what was going on, but I'll tell you, it was very hard for me to say, okay, I'm just gonna sit for a half hour and meditate. It was very hard. What it felt like was, if I could just get 5 things off the list, then I could take a break.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the only thing that made me, if I could accomplish something, then I could rest.
Yes,
and,
yes.
I've got a lot more of that ahead of me in the next few months. I still got to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was disappointed when I went home, and I thought, I thought I was going to handle it better. I thought I had reached some level of mindfulness or awareness, and when I got thrown into that situation, I was going to be more centered, and it wasn't terrible. I didn't spin out of control, but I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I'm facing that kind of disappointment about it right now, and kind of a little skepticism about my practice.
Okay.
So.
Great. So I don't know if you've noticed, but it's like tension around the chest, right? The diaphragm. It's like holding the breath. That kind of feeling here of there's not enough space to be me, certainly. In fact, you don't even deserve to have space until you cross off the stuff on your list, right? then you may rest, right? But so, what is it that you've noticed, was lacking for you at that time, or even as you contemplate it coming up again? What's missing for you?
I felt what was missing was anybody that was, including myself, that was there for my needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt my whole quality of life, which I love in San Francisco so much, just got ripped from me. And I was thrown into this world that I didn't want to be in, but I certainly felt either an obligation or love for my family or something that I had to be there and I had to perform. But I felt like my needs and my life was just kind of pulled from me.
Yeah. So, what would you like? What would be a request that you would make on behalf of yourself now to meet this situation?
I guess maybe more, is the expression, loving kindness to yourself and understand that in that type of situation is going to be difficult for anybody, and that not to be hard on myself, that I'm not as centered and as balanced as I was hoping.
So what would help you remember these things? What could you do? How could you reach out to be sure that you remember these messages of loving kindness?
I could maybe convey it to some family and some friends that are there so they could remind me when I start to complain or express how I feel to them.
What's the maybe in there?
Just deciding whether that's not going to create other issues that I'm going to have to deal with, bringing them into my drama and my story. It might be better to do it with people out here that I call on the phone than people there. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. But somehow, what I'm hearing is it would be nice to be able to get out of this little collapsed place that, the family stuff has drawn you into, to remember your own spaciousness, your own nature that you enjoy being with.
Yeah.
That somehow we can't do this all up here like this. We can't even necessarily do it just meditating on our own, though that's a feature, that's a help, that's a grounding, but we may need more. We may have become so tightly ingrained in feeling that we have to carry out the wishes of everyone else that we may forget that we can't do it all. We may need a reminder. We may need to tap into others who are on our heart wavelength, who aren't completely caught up in this stuff, and can remind us, who we are and what's real for us. Yeah. So that's, this is something, so, it's kind of important here, something I was finding also. I actually called on a number of friends that I hadn't called on in a while, actually, to be there for me, to actually be there and really hold the space for me to be myself, because I'd forgotten, I'd forgotten what it was like to feel who I am and accept who I am and so on. So I really appreciate that narrow space, and it's great that you're prepared to call on people who hold you in their hearts, who maybe aren't caught up in the thing. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Did you want to say? No, the moment has passed. Yes, okay, thanks.
A slightly different situation. I'm kind of in a burst of creativity, and so this energy and everything is sort of not bad. It's good. It's welcoming, but it creates its own problems, of course.
Of course.
There's the mundane stuff that needs to be taken care of each day. is my practice and things that I do to kind of ground myself. But then there's this energy of a new project, and that can lead to another project, and I have to cut myself off somewhere, or I can go in 20 different directions. I am reminded right now of a similar period in my life 30 years ago, when during a training program I was also coming out and involved in new relationships, and making a movie at the same time. I am now writing about that 30 years later, recalling that, and it was a great period. I remember it as being a great period of time. It's quite possible that it was just full of tension. Yeah, there was a questioning of my sanity at that.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Yeah. So you're really taking that and actually turning it into something that you're viewing from a larger lens now, probably. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes. There's a lesson there.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's wonderful to, to be alive and to be able to keep viewing our experiences from larger and larger lenses and places. Yeah, thank you. Great. So, right now, I'd just like to again throw out here to you, what is it to be real? What is it to be real for you now?
I think it's sort of doing an inventory of what's inside of you and deciding what's working for you in your life and what's not.
Okay.
I remember my father died. My mom was very upset, and for months she just went on about how she missed him and she can't do anything. And then a wise aunt from Hong Kong said to her, she says, when the horse dies, you get up and walk.
Yeah. Okay.
I think for myself, I'm trying to think what that horse may be. Could be something that I was bound to as a child.
Uh-huh.
Stuff that I was taught in church.
Uh-huh.
Stuff that doesn't work anymore.
Okay, so something you're dragging around still. Yeah. So that's a really good point. So in terms of getting real, it sounds like what you're saying is that you could be carrying a load. You could be carrying something that actually isn't alive anymore in you, and that needs to be kind of opened up, allowed for the life stuff to come through. Yeah. So right now, I just want to turn to somebody who's around you, or be in threes if it's not exactly even, and just talk about something that is no longer living for you, and what you would like in its place.
Something or someone who's no longer living.
Someone, something, anything that any load, anything that feels like a weight. Okay? A weight that you might have that takes away from your ability to be fully present here right now, alive and real with yourself. Okay? And if you don't have anything to say about it, maybe your partner will. So check it out and just notice that. If you're fully present, fully alive, just kind of go there and say, what is it? How did I get here? So let's just take a few minutes to do this. So just turn to somebody or a couple of somebodies and check in here. What's alive for you today? like being part of being some incredible organism. I was feeling this as we were meditating, that the breathing, and I was kind of part of this large breathing animal, and then all the energy that is here, you know, and then everybody saying shh, and started to come back again, and it was just this feeling of we are one here. It's quite amazing. So I don't know what you were all talking about after a while, but it sounds inspiring. So anything about aliveness in here, which is what I felt, of course. Anything about what's alive and real for you now? Or what you've had to get rid of to get to it?
One thought that I had, a couple of us had, and maybe some other people, but was that sort of the opposite of aliveness is fear. And that fear really makes you feel dead. Mm-hmm. And then when you can live with less fear, it's more feeling of aliveness. I think a couple of us were talking about that.
Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, what I spoke of was that I think I have less fear, but now I don't know what's in its place.
Mm-hmm.
As the door is open, then what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is there after you step past fear and you come into this new space?
Which way or which space?
Yeah.
Or why step?
Yeah. Yeah. Why? What? Anyone get into that place of the big place of possibilities and unknowing as part of your liveness? Yeah.
I find that words can't possibly describe that which is real, because that which is real is so far beyond words that there are no words for it. We just are it, or as the Taoist would say, this is it. That's perplexing to some people, but I do find that as a non-dualist, the difference between absolute reality, which could be described as brilliant voidness, leads to the idea that's far beyond ideas, that everything here is articulated grace, manifested grace. Nothing else makes sense. I mean, why go to all this trouble unless it's grace? So there are those two positions, one of which is the absolute, which we are in the deepest kind of space, whether you want to call it little dancing energies or whatever. That's easy to say that our scientists tell us that we aren't here in the way we think we're here. We're here at many other levels. So there is that, and at the same time, there are the pictures that we get from our eyes because of the way light works and the way our eyes work from nanosecond to nanosecond. Of course, nothing is permanent. There's no permanence whatsoever. So to see what is reality is to see absolute nothingness. And it has been in my life very frightening to go beyond the point of not even being here and have experiences of not even being here, and to find that I can survive and that not being here is perfectly all right.
Okay, all right.
Now, prove that I'm not here. I'm like 25 cents.
So here's one very big perspective here on realness, aliveness. Anybody else? Because there are lots of perspectives on this. There is no one way to be real. But it is a very personal thing, and you know when you get there. You know when you're acting from what's real to you. Because things make sense. Yeah.
How do you know?
I'm sorry?
How do you know?
How do I know that things make sense?
No, that you're there, that it's what you want.
Good question. So, how do you know?
I think maybe you have to think about it from the other side. How do you know when you're not there?
Ooh, this is getting...
Maybe you can look at the difference between, Eve was looking at David earlier and seeing that his chest was tight when he was talking about all of the problems. So maybe by the absence of that chest being tight. That's why he's
Okay.
Talk about your dualism.
But this is great. There there are signs, and we each have different signs here for us, but there is something about starting to connect with who we are and that sense of feeling like I'm getting here. I've stopped running around in place and I am actually letting myself be with what is. And it may take a while, to feel this out. It may really take a while to know what the signs are for you when you're there, when something is real for you, when you're working at something that gives you heart, that is right for you. It may take a while to figure that out. You may go in with things of goals in certain ways that it ought to be like this. This is how I want it. This is what I'm going for. And how do you know if it's real for you? How do you know if your work, your relationship is right for you?
Basically, if it's energizing, at the beginning we all talked about what energizes us, and I think you could basically say that if you are doing what's real, what you love, and you're with the people in your life that are important to you at that point in your life, then you're energized and it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have to struggle with it, you don't have to work hard to do it.
Right, you may actually be doing a lot, but it'll feel like you're moving on your trajectory with no major effort. You're just being sped along, and it feels connected to you. Right? Thank you. I too believe it has a lot to do with energy, and whether you're feeling a sense of grace, of energy, of ease in yourself. It may take time to get there because that isn't the message necessarily that you were given about how life is. And yet, in ways that I find in what I do in being real with myself, I find that as I am literally in the work that I'm supposed to be doing, connecting with the people I'm supposed to be with, I'm not pushing past. I'm not trying to be somewhere else. I am really just here, enjoying it. I'm here enjoying being with you people. I'm here because this is real for me, because this is the right thing to be doing. It's the right place to be. There's no effort involved for me right now in being here with you people. I'll just take an immediate example of me. I feel the energy and aliveness of this whole room of us, this whole organism that we are together. Just breathing and speaking and feeling and being in our space, which is both ours individually and ours collectively. It's easy. So this is just something that I would like to add to everything that's being said here. And just to, just kind of check in here and make sure that this is like where we're all sitting. Anybody else have anything to say, and how are we doing for time?
I have a sort of 7 minutes if you want me.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you think, from your experience, that people get into their just how the process goes when you get to a point in your life where you feel balanced and real, or however we're describing it? Or is it more this kind of one step back, forward, one step back, and kind of all of a sudden you're caught in a rut of self-doubt, and then maybe it's not as bad as the self-doubt you felt a few years ago, and then you pull yourself out and you feel some peace. I mean, how does that?
I think, my personal experience is that when I, or anybody that I know who is on this kind of journey of self-exploration, like this conscious self-exploration, it's like the more that we really trust and allow ourselves to feel our connection from here to, who we are inside and what's out there to support that and what we're giving back to from being ourselves, that there's more of a sense of flow, that there's more of a sense of that than that dance of uncertainty, that gets overbalanced, that you can have 10 days of uncertainty, as I just did, very grave uncertainty, and then come back, into the space that is completely real for me, completely harmonious with who I am. not trying to be something I'm not, but simply enjoying, the opportunity to be just who I am. And I feel that there gets to be more and more of that as that is your intention. And it sounds like that is your intention, and that you get caught up in the old stuff. Family reminds you of where you came from and what you pulled out of and so forth. At the same time, they're there to test your heart, and to see just how large you can be. But maybe you can't just do that all by yourself, Maybe you need to really keep reaching out your heart for the ones that connect with it very easily. Yeah. Thanks. Any other thoughts, comments, feelings? Yeah.
I'm just curious, what shifted for you? You said you had a number of days that was difficult, and then the last couple, not so much.
Right. It was, I think one thing that was really important for me was I got caught in the grip of the old stuff of I have to do this all by myself. I have to learn high technology and everything all by myself. And I have to be in a driven kind of state in order to make things happen. I don't know where that comes from exactly, but it doesn't profit me anyway. So it's like that running in place and gotta do. And when I remembered to reach out and talk to the people who have my heart interests, ready at hand, my very good friends and colleagues, I started to shift back. They just kept reminding me who I was over and over and over. And because I believe that fundamentally, I was able to shift and come back. But I really had to get out of this driven rhythm, and I really had to trust that I needed time off the list. I needed time off to be with my friends, even when I felt it would be better to get 5 things off the list. I get it. So that was it. And that's why it took 10 days, because it really took a while for the message to come back to me. You are doing what you love. You are being who you want to be. So remember. Thank you. So I just want to thank all of you for, being here so completely and really, just sharing your energy with all of us, but from a place inside where you really had it to give. And I hope that you also took care of yourself and let yourself just be who you were. You didn't have to jump up and down. You didn't have to do anything wild in order to be here in a way that's respectful of who you are. So thank you very much. I really enjoyed being with you today. And, yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Why don't we just sit there a minute? Really good time.
Great. And I'll be around out there, and there's some materials out there if you're interested in more about what I do.
Do you have any announcements?
My name is Michael. I was telling Mark in our little dyad that making these announcements every week is sort of a practice and a bit of torture for me. Because, I'm sort of trying to address my shyness and be more visible in the group. So, the GBF retreat is October 12th through the 14th. Really, my vision for it is for us to just share a space where we can be more of ourselves together. So if that sounds appealing to you, or if you're on the fence about coming, or you feel like your practice isn't deep enough, come and talk to me and let me encourage you. And there are flyers out there. I'm going to ask my lovely assistant, Jim Stewart, who's kind of naturally more assertive than I am, to pass out flyers.
You want to come to this retreat?
Yeah, I would love to see lots of you there. Okay, thank you.
No other announcements?
Yeah, I have one. Yeah. Next week, our speaker is Carol Newhouse, who is a long-time regular and very cherished speaker. She's a social worker and the head teacher of the Berkeley Lesbian Sangha, and she's always witty and incisive and very down to earth, and so we look forward to seeing her.
I'm Gary, and I just want to remind people I'm hosting a potluck for the group a week from today, Sunday the 30th, at my house at 6:30, and you'll get lots of flyers today, I guess, because I have little flyer cards too, with all the information on them, and I'll pass them out. Thank you. Hope you can all come.
My name is Ari. There's a group of us that meets Tuesday evenings at 7:30 for meditation. If you're interested, come see me. And for some reason, I feel like going to the GBF retreat.
I'm Baruch, and I invite some of you to sit for a few minutes and read letters that we get from gay Buddhist prisoners that are sent to us. We sit for 15 or 20 minutes and do our social activism by interacting with them. So it'll just be out on the couches, maybe 15 minutes after we break.
And I'm the host for today, so there's tea, and if you have tea, please wash your cup. And there are fresh scones, and if you have scones, try not to get crumbs all over the place. There's a sign-up sheet for the newsletter if you're new, or if you're old and you'd like to receive the newsletter, either by email or by snail mail. And finally, there's a Donna Bowl. I'll be coming around, and we ask for a donation of $5 to $8, more or less, depending on what you can afford.
Okay. Let's stand in a circle for our dedication of merit. By the power and truth of our practice here today, may all beings take the opportunity of existence to become free.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.